Strategy number 2 is the Undersizer. Sorry, I've always wanted to announce a strategy like a pro wrestler. Anyway, the idea behind this strategy is to save as many characters that can undersize teams on offense as possible, while still setting a respectable defense. If you can score over 60 banners on many of your matches, while your opponent averages around 58 banners for example, then you win. It's a risky strategy and not for the faint of heart because one mistake will probably cost you the match. Now, the requirements for this strategy are, first of all, that you can't have so much GP that every defensive team has relics in it, or undersizing simply becomes too unrealistic for many teams. The second requirement is that you need an opponent who historically goes rather heavy on offense, because if your opponent sets a lot of meta teams on defense, then it becomes too difficult to achieve even a 60 banner average. You can learn a lot more about their general playstyle from their Grand Arena history, and from their statistics that show their number of successful attacks and defense that you can find on their profile. The third requirement is that you need a heavy focus in your roster on characters who can undersize and regenerate protection. You need to have a very strong Malak, Nest, and General Skywalker for sure, and understand what their limits are to soloing teams. Malak can perfectly solo a Karth Old Republic team, for example, but he might struggle a bit against GAC clones ever since Relics got involved and Rex got reworked. After a while he can start hitting pretty hard, so sometimes it can get a little dicey depending on the strength of your Malak. Now Malak actually times out against an Ewok team if Elder is there, so that would actually be a solo that you don't want to do. So make sure that you do your research and practice before committing to something like this. Now sometimes there's no answer out there for the specific relics and mods in your situation, and the only way to find out would be to try it yourself. You could also make a case for characters like General Grievous or Jedi Knight Anakin soloing entire teams, but those generally only work for very low GP rosters. The moment you get to higher divisions, this becomes super difficult and there's almost nothing you can send them in on. Now undersizing is not all about solo characters though. Thrawn combined with Nihilus and a tank to keep them protected can work great, even though they don't have any specific synergies. Especially if you like to use Traya and Scion against Geonosians and have no other use for Nihilus, then going with some kind of solution like this can be perfect for you. We also have options like Darth Revan, Bastilla Fallen and HK-47, who can undersize some teams with just the 3 of them. And all of them have some kind of protection regeneration, or with the right moves that you use in a row, you can stop the other team from ever attacking or hitting you enough that you would lose any banners. Now the same goes for Jedi Knight Revan, Bastilla and Grandmaster Yoda. And sometimes you may need to put Bastilla in the lead or add Hermit Yoda or Jolee and go in with 4 characters, because losing protection on 3 characters would set you back more than losing 1 banner from bringing an extra character. So that's a consideration that you'll have to make, and that goes with a little trial and error. There are also some options for 61 banners, like Bosk with Boba, Jango and Dengar, or Rage Out of Training with R2, BB-8 and Finn. And 3 versus 3 Grand Arena, there are even options like a High Relic 5s who will just counter weaker teams to death by himself. And for fleet battles, you can often leave out several reinforcements to score more points. Just be careful that it doesn't backfire and you bring too few reinforcements, because losing a lot of protection banners or losing the match altogether is a lot more painful than just missing out on 1 or 2 banners because you managed to squeeze out an extra reinforcement. And there are many other combinations that you can probably think of, and many more that will come up in the future as we get more characters, as we get reworks, etc. This, what I made here, is really not meant to be an exhaustive list, so feel free to leave your ideas in the comments below. As long as they have a good chance at ending over 60 banners, it's valid and it contributes to this specific strategy. In conclusion, I think it's a good strategy if your roster isn't too big, and even if you don't end up using it, you can still make a list of your own teams that can undersize stuff for more than 60 banners, and look at what they can take out. So are you one of the audacious people that runs this strategy? Let me know in the comments below and tell me about your favorite undersized teams. The next strategy is a counter to these first 2 strategies, one I've been growing rather fond of myself. I hope to see you there.